MMA UK, Abdulahad Patel. I'm here with Lawrence Tracey. Lawrence, how you doing?
Good, thanks, brother. Good, good, good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So, bare knuckle boxing, 22, came back with a win. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, man.
So, round one, come out. You took some shots to the arms, to the hands, to the guard. How
Yeah,
did that
man. It,
feel, man?
it was one of those when I was talking to Mario Saeed and my
Mhm.
mate Adam Oki, we were saying kind of when it's unknown, because obviously I hadn't had a bare knuckle fight before. It's one of those where didn't really know how you're going to react when you get hit, sort of thing. So, first port of call was sort of take a couple of shots, but obviously on the guard, and just see how it feels and all that sort of thing. So, I think he came out and he threw something like a double jab cross or something along those sort of lines,
Yeah,
and just took it on the guard. And I got no problem with that because I quite like a high guard, sort of bit of a K1 style with that sort of thing. So
mm,
yeah, it was absolutely fine. And obviously, as soon as we got going, I could start throwing a few combinations. Then settled in. It was all happy days.
And how did it feel like throwing punches without no gloves? Like, obviously, you had the wraps, but how did that feel?
Yeah, so they wrap your hands. If my hand's here, they wrap
Mm,
it sort of, they wrap your thumb, but your knuckles are all out. So it is bone on bone, a bit like throwing elbows, which is why you get a lot of cuts and bits and pieces like that. I got hit basically with one shot the whole fight, which was a jab, and it still split my eye open. I needed a handful of stitches, and yeah, I don't know. Can you see it on here? Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still fairly raw now, and that's just like a month or so later. So yeah, it's obviously it's just one of those. But after the fight, the guys were sort of asking me about how my hands were. Hands were absolutely fine. I
Mm,
think I haven't done some specific conditioning for my hands or anything like that. I did sort of do maybe like one round on the bag with no gloves at the end of my kind of bag work sessions, just to sort of feel what it was like.
yeah,
But I reckon, so long as you're throwing punches correctly and turning into them properly and all that sort of thing, and you're sort of your arms all up behind the shot and all that sort of thing, then
mm,
then you're going to be okay. I think it's when you start kind of throwing a bit kind of slappy shots and stuff like that. That's when you end up kind of with broken fingers and broken wrists and stuff. But yeah, I felt absolutely fine. No different than having gloves on, to be honest.
yeah, man. Like that's good to hear in the sense that obviously going forward, you know what to expect, and you know the sort of complications that could come at hand.
No,
Um, Talking about the fight, then, so he came out throwing some punches. They hit your guard. There wasn't nothing really that landed up until that jab,
no.
but I'd say it was like the first 15, 20 seconds, and then you started to feel him out and then started throwing hands. And it was like predominantly straight away. You was looking for the counter, weren't you?
Yeah.
Um, you could see that uppercut like coming through each time as well.
Yeah, for
So
sure, man.
talk me through it. Like, what was you thinking at that point? Like he's coming all guns blazing. You kind of held off a bit and you was looking for the counter.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of thought there's two ways he's going to go because the guy was coming off a loss, but before then he'd been like a title holder in some other organizations. So
Mm,
he was a good fighter. Coming off a loss, though, you sort of go one or two ways. You either want to be careful and tentative, and you kind of jab and move all the time, or he's going to come all guns blazing. And he did, he did the latter. He came real hard. Not only that, he was practically driving his way into me, like driving his whole body weight and all that sort of thing. So
yeah.
his head was kind of down a little bit. His guard
Mm,
was really high, so I'd throw hooks and things, and I couldn't really land anything. And he was too close to throw any straight shots.
yeah.
So the best shots were kind of the body and the uppercut, and they
Yeah.
tended to
Yeah.
be what I landed the most, sort of thing. But it's a bit like because I'm a combination based fighter anyway. I tend to throw more than one shot at a time, and
Mm,
because I always practice like that, I can throw a combination, but at the same time be kind of looking for what's on. So whilst I'm throwing like a kind of 10 punch flurry, I'm also like scouting the body and seeing what's open, and that's when I sort of saw that right
yeah.
hook to the body, right uppercut, kind of following it, sort of thing. Bit of a Mike Tyson style combo, that one. And
Yeah. It was.
yeah, managed to catch him.
It was quite interesting, really, because when you did go in, it was the shots were almost smothered, but then like you just adjusted, and me looking at this as like just for the boxing perspective. Obviously, it's bare knuckle, and we are only talking really boxing. But when I saw that uppercut, it reminded me of when Anthony Joshua hit Klitschko with that uppercut, and his head just went flinging back.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like you threw a few more combinations, and then the uppercuts were starting to become quite successful. And you know, you dropped them once, you dropped them twice, and on the third, the ref called the fight. So it's definitely, I think, if I was a fighter looking at that and thinking, if you as an opponent in the future, I think to myself, well, do I really want to get that close and taste one of those uppercuts? Because it looked nasty, especially when he went down the first time.
Yeah. Well, like, for I'm quite comfortable in that kind of chaos environment. So like right in close where it's toe to toe, you know, where most people don't really want to be. That's where I'm probably most comfortable. I quite like being in that sort of position because I kind of back that I can hit at least as hard, if not harder, than anybody I'm coming across. Combined with the fact that I feel comfortable there, I trust my guard, I trust my defense, I trust my combinations. So it's all stuff that I practice all the time. So yeah, I think it's one of those. Like you say, I don't see why people would want to be in that position with me. If they're sensible, they should be, you know, after watching that fight, but like you say, they should be thinking, right, let's try and box a bit more. Let's try and, you know, keep the range a little bit more. So, you know, that's what my opponent's saying he's going to do. Whether he manages to or not, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, for real. I you know, watching that, and before the knockdown as well, he had you up against the ropes, didn't he, at one point? And you was taking the shots, and I think he clipped one onto your ear at some point as well. And I wanted to ask you about this because anyone that knows that there's any combat sports, when you get hit in the ear, regardless if it's boxing gloves, MMA gloves, or sparring gloves even, it hurts, and sometimes it can rock you, it could put you off balance. Did that phase you at all?
No, mate. To be honest, I think when I watched the fight back, I've watched it like once or twice since, and I know the shot you're saying about, like fairly early on in the fight. I think he caught me with like a bit of a right hook sort of thing, but I didn't even feel it, to be honest. And yeah, because he was pressuring so much, I had to do quite a few kind of cut the angle steps and get to the side of him because he was, like you say, he was smothering the punches so much because he was so close. So it was a tricky one. Had to kind of use quite a bit of footwork whilst being very close to him. So yeah, he made life difficult for sure, and he was very game. And you know, he's a sound guy afterwards as well, and all that sort of thing. But yeah, he came to win, but yeah, managed to put him away in the first. So it was happy days.
So Lawrence, we got a comment here that says, Lawrence, you're too handsome for bare knuckle boxing.
Who's that?
That's from Stoomboy over at MMA UK. He goes, will we ever see you back in the cage?
Yes, you will, mate. 100%. I mean, it's just one of those where, you know, you know, it's all gone well in the bare knuckle at the moment. So you know, I'm going to ride the train a little bit, see where it goes. But the good thing about the guys at BKB is they're not funny about you fighting MMA and, you know, even probably glove boxing and kickboxing. They're fine about all that sort of thing. The only sort of contract I've got with them is to not fight for another bare knuckle boxing organization.
Which is fair, really.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense. They're not going to build you up to then, you know, you disappear off somewhere else, sort of thing. But yeah, so from an MMA point of view, you'll definitely see me back in the cage, and you know, it won't be very long either, to be fair.
Yeah, because it's something we talked about on the last interview, and we mentioned about, you know, you potentially having the fight after your debut in bare knuckle. Obviously that didn't happen. And like you say, you've got your bare knuckle title fight that's coming up as well in November the 20th.
Yeah, November 20th, British title fight. This one, mate.
British title, and is that at super welter as well?
No, it's at middleweight. This one. So the last one I think it was super middleweight or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Quite the different weight classes. Basically, the last one was max weight of 86 kilos, whereas this one's a max weight of 89 kilos. Of course, that's same day weigh-in. Yeah. So for me, 89 kilos, you know, I'm only like 91, 92 max anyway. So it's like no problem making the weight. I would like to probably fight a little bit lighter. The last one was perfect. I came in at 85 kilos, a touch under, and felt like an absolute machine. Like cardio was through the roof.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when you're carrying a few extra pounds that are kind of useless weight, then it slows you down a touch. But I feel super fit for this fight, and I've got, you know, about 2 kilos to kind of lose over the next couple of weeks. Just, you know, and that's just with a clean diet. I don't need to do anything special to lose that. And because it's the same day weigh-in, you know, there's no losing water or any of that sort of thing. So your mind stays clear the whole time. So yeah, I just enjoyed the whole process really.
That's really good to hear. I know with like MMA and boxing, when you're fighting at lower weight classes, you've got the whole battle with, you know, weight cutting and dieting and all of those things. And you look from a physical perspective, from like a visual perspective, you look like you was in peak condition. You know, you didn't look like you was too vascular. You look like you was carrying enough weight around you to not have had to dehydrate yourself, and you generally looked in great shape, which you always are, to be fair, in it, Lawrence. You're always in pretty decent shape, man.
Good old gym training always helps, doesn't it? You got to look good, feel good.
This is it. Chuck a couple of weights around while you're at it, isn't it?
Why not?
Your title fight coming up. Do you know much about your opponent?
Yeah, so the guy's name is Mason Shaw, and you know, he's fought right up at heavyweight, I think. So he's definitely going to be a bit of a bigger sort of guy. But you know, again, same day weigh in, all that sort of thing. It's not going to be like in MMA where, you know, if a guy's a bit bigger, you know, it's a big difference. Whereas, you know, it's not going to be the same with that with boxing. So yeah, he's decent, but he's coming off a loss, and he was fighting for the world title and he lost it. So, you know, I don't think it's a very good fight for him fighting me, because I'm going to be coming out, you know, all guns blazing, because that's my style. That's how I like to fight. And, you know, there's nowhere for him to take me down in these occasions. I can come forward all I like, and I don't have to worry about anybody shooting in on me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it's a good fight for him. And it's a good fight for me because he's got lots of experience. He's a bit of a name in the bare knuckle scene. So it's a good scout for me to have. So it's like all wins for me. And, you know, if he loses, it's not a great one for him. So yeah, it's just one of those. But he's decent. And again, like I tried to have a bit of banter with him online, but he's such a nice guy. Like he just sort of always plays it off and plays a nice guy card. So yeah, I can't knock him on that. To be fair, like all the guys, just like MMA, they're all just sound guys, aren't they? Like whatever they might say on the camera, face to face, they're always sound as anything.
Well, yeah, this is it, and people like to keep that sportsmanship as well, don't they? And you know, keep the respect going as well, like a true martial artist. And yeah, man, it sounds like it's going to be another big one for yourself and potentially your opponent. You know, you can never underestimate someone, regardless of a loss. And like yourself, you've been there before and you've bounced back in a big way. So you know, anything can happen, especially in bare knuckle.
Mate, 100%. It's like you say. Like, I mean, this little cut here, that's a jab. You know, it's sort of, you don't have to get hit with very much. And you think even just like a cut above the eye, that could be doctor stoppage pretty early on. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it could easily go either way. But you know, I still back myself 100%. The thing is, I know what I'm doing training wise, and I know what I'm doing to make to sort of bring the best version of me to the fight, and I can't really worry about anything anybody else is doing. That's all you really can do, isn't it? Like in all combat sports, you just do, as long as you're ready, that's, you know, that's as good as you can possibly be for the fight.
No, I fully agree with you. I mean, there isn't really much more to say than that. And you know, I wanted to, I forgot to mention, but one thing I want to mention as well about the fight, and you can see where you've brought over transferable skills from MMA into, you know, your bare knuckle match, but the angles you turn during that fight as well to hit the body shots, to hit your opponent. I think there was glimpses of Lamachenko in there as well. I was watching that, I was like, yeah, I can see what he's doing there. I see what he's doing there. And again, fair play to you, because obviously you're a big boy and it's not easy to move weight like that. It takes a lot out of you.
To be fair, again, it's like, you know, when you sort of see me throw maybe like a 10-punch combination, you think, oh man, he must be gassed now.
Yeah.
But if you train like that, it's all happy days. That's actually that little kind of L step, as they call it, is something I learned off the Figlap boys. They were me and Matt Figlap were working on that in sparring one time. He did it against me, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" He fucking just disappeared to the side of me, and yeah, he sort of showed me a few little steps with it and stuff, and we drilled it quite a bit and sort of worked on it in sparring and things, and it's just second nature now. I can cut those angles, and like you say, like if it's the first time you do it, it can seem like it's quite an explosive movement, but once you get comfortable with it, it's all happy days. It's the same as like doing a roll or anything else.
Yeah, for real. I mean, and it suited you, and I'm sure we'll see plenty more of that. Lawrence, it's been a pleasure, my man. I know people are very short for time nowadays, and I appreciate you giving me the time to catch up with you as well as to speak about the upcoming fight. Any final words before we close it down, my man?
Oh man, I'll obviously send you over the link for the fight and stuff like that. I'd appreciate it if you post out there for your followers. So anybody, I know obviously like predominantly the MMA scene, and so am I predominantly. But it's obviously great to get to be pushing the bare knuckle sport at the same time. So appreciate you getting me on the show.
100%, my man. So anyone that wants to watch Lawrence, you can watch him live at the O2 in London on November the 20th, or you can go to, is it fight.tv?
Yeah, I think it's Fight TV, but yeah, I'll put a link up and send it your way as well, bro.
All right, my man. Well, I wish you all the best, and hopefully you come out healthy, and so does your opponent, and we'll catch up on the post-fight, my man.
Yeah, man, with a new belt.
New belt, hopefully new British champion. Who knows?
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Take care, Lawrence.